the outset, I would like to thank all of you for taking out time from your busy schedules and being with us here this wonderful morning. I'm delighted to inform that this is also a carbon negative event. Just take a look around yourselves. You will not find plastic bottles or any other single-use plastic objects. I know to come to this event, all of you used your mode of transportation, which definitely contributed to the carbon emission. And of course, there is the electricity that we're using for this event. So, Yesen Sustain quantified the carbon emission for this event and offset it by procuring more carbon credits than we are emitting. We are procuring carbon credits from certified projects which are saving on carbon emission as well as have social relevance. So once again, welcoming all of you to this carbon negative event by Yesen Sustain. And for the next couple of hours, all of us are going to be together. So why not channel our energies in the same direction and begin with a big round of applause? Nalloru kaiyadiyode sandoshathode namukku start cheyyam. Thank you so much. The journey of Yesen Sustain began in the year 1994. In fact, we are the oldest surviving clean tech company in the world, with more than 2,500 accomplished clean tech projects across the world to its credit. Yesen Sustain is now launching eMeride, a revolutionary technology which helps electrify existing and new boats at affordable prices and also with a fast rate of return on investment. This will help reduce the carbon footprint across the world by revolutionizing the way fisheries and water tourism industries work. Like we all know, our oceans are endangered because of the excessive use of fossil fuels. As a solution, we are starting this blue revolution by providing pre-engineered clean energy kits that can be used in new vessels and also retrofitted to existing marine vessels, inviting all of you to be a part of this blue revolution. ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ഏവരെയും സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. And a very special welcome to our all-women board of directors, Sarah Paul, Anne George, and Jasmine Thomas. Welcome. So let's start this event by taking a look at a video that would give us insights about eMeride, the blue revolution. Indeed, a wonderful video throwing light on the essence of eMeride, the blue revolution. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to listen to the visionary entrepreneur himself. Please put your hands together and welcome on stage founder and CEO of Yesen Sustain, Dr. George Matthew.
excited about the solution or the product, let me take you through a small presentation, and please bear with me. So I think climate change is, sorry, no, back. Yes, next. Thank you. I think climate change is very evident, and now we need to change because of climate change. The way the way we live today, the way we operate today has to change. The way the industries operate today has to change. And I'm sure Kerala, Malayalis are very clear about climate change, because at least after 2018 floods and then again 2019, we all very much convinced about climate change and its impact. So I like to specifically focus on two major industries from Kerala especially. One is the tourism, and we have Jose Dominic here, who has been the pioneer in trying to promote, has actually brought the tourism to the map of Kerala, or Kerala in the map of tourism, and also has pioneered environment-friendly tourism. But I'm sure he agrees with me whether tourism is itself a threat to itself. Is tourism a threat to itself? Because tourism is polluting, and after some time, what happens to it? Do you have a tourism at all? Second, the same with the fishing industry. Most of us, all are fish lovers, and what you may not know is that most of the fishing vessels which goes out to sea to fish, they all use two-stroke petrol engines, pouring kerosene into it. And these are all highly polluting the marine environment. Of course, there's also overfishing, which again resulting in a threat to the fisheries industry itself. So what is the solution? So I just talked about this, you can go to the next one. Yeah. So what is the solution? Now there's a lot of talk over the last at least 1 year about e-mobility. Everybody is wanting to buy an EV or electric vehicle or electric car now. So is it a solution? Does it reduce your carbon footprint? Well, yes, it does. It definitely, an electric vehicle is more efficient than a fossil or IC powered vehicle. So that is exactly what we're talking about today in how to implement or electrify the marine industry. So what is the benefits of going electric in the for marine propulsion, or to propel your boat using an electric motor? The benefits are many. One is there is very low vibration or zero vibration. Definitely you don't need a fuel, and there is no tail exhaust. So there is no emission from the tail. You don't have an exhaust where you are emitting out any dangerous gas. It is ultra low maintenance, and of course it is low noise. The funny part is that electric propulsion is nothing new. It is like 125 years old. The first one was done in 1909 by Elco Yachts, which happens to be our OEM partner also. And since then, there have been many versions of electric boats. But unfortunately, because of the very low cost of fossil fuel, that died down. But to reduce the carbon footprint, to reduce your operating expenses, if you want to electrify, how fast can you do it? Okay, for all the new vessels which are coming out, you're buying, they need to be electrified, they need to be electric, they need to be either solar, hybrid, or electric, that's for sure. But what about the millions of vessels which are already in the waters? What do you do with that? You can't just suddenly scrap them up and say, okay, let's buy new ones. It's not possible, because scrapping the existing boats before they complete their life cycle itself is an environmental disaster by itself. And then again, making new boats is also an environmental impact, even if it's going to be electric. I know Jeevan and Joy here would love to build new boards every day, but we know how practical that is going to be, right, Jeevan? So the fact remains that it's not as easy as we say it is, saying that, okay, let's go electric. It applies to even electric cars and electric vehicles. If you want to really electrify mobility, that is not going to happen with new cars. You have to look at retrofitting your existing cars also to electrical. And that is exactly what we are trying to do here. Apart from that, it is also essential that whatever electrification system you're going to have, or propulsion system you're going to have for the new boats, is also affordable. When I say affordable, I don't say that it's going to be in par in cost with an IC engine, but at least over a period of time, it should be able to pay for itself. It should have a good rate of return. And that is exactly what we have done here. Two things we have done. The solution, as I said, is the Meridien solution, which we have developed for you. And the advantage here is the system all the way from 1 HP up to 2000 HP. So Mr. Jose Dominic sir had given us the opportunity way back in 2007 to do the first solar boat. At that time, we could achieve a speed of around 4 to 4.5 knots, if I remember correctly. The speed of the one part is it's not making any noise, so you don't feel the speed at all. But actually, if you look at a ferry boat which is doing the round, that is also doing 4.5 knots. But then it has vibration, it has noise. So when you sit in this boat which is noiseless, you don't feel it is actually having a speed, required speed. But of course, we had the challenges, and it was a learning experience for us. It was not powerful enough. The motors we used were just 2 kilowatt motors. Today we are talking about 250 kilowatt and 300 kilowatt motors. So the technology over the last so many years have come a long way. And today we are using a different battery technology altogether, and we will continue to use different technologies as they evolve. But what I'm trying to say here is that today it has become practical, affordable to electrify your existing as well as new vessels. So as you know, in the marine industry, there are two types of architecture for propulsion. One is the outboard and the other is the inboard. So I'm just taking you through what is the solution we have. And for new vessels, of course, we have IRS class approvals needed, can be provided. And it is off the shelf. Basically, now all the solutions. Over the years, what we have done is we have engineered it to an extent that we can give you pre-engineered off-the-shelf solutions. And what can we retrofit? We can retrofit anything you want, right? Starting from a houseboat, shikara, ferry, ROR, party boats, barge. In fact, even all the new ships which are coming out today, all the large ships, cruise ships which are coming out today have electric motor propulsion, just for your information. So what I'm trying to say is that electrification of boats, small vessels, medium-sized vessels is practical 100% and reliable. So just to give you an insight of what the system is all about, for an inboard vessel, say something like a fast fishing craft like this is how basically the schematic is. You have a motor at the back which is powering based, again the rating of the motor is based on a couple of factors. One is what is the speed you need, what is the endurance you need, and then you have the battery bank. The battery bank is again sized based on, you have different, it is modular, it can be added based on the endurance you need, and of course the control electronics, and of course the remote monitoring. So we also have solutions with outboard motor, and you can see today. Now in electric motors, so I always get asked the question, so can you power the the boat 100% using solar, or how does it get charged? So I just want you to take you through some of the different architectures we have for an electric boat. So the first I would like to talk about is pure electric. In pure electric, there is only two components basically. You have the motor and its control, and you have battery bank. And the source of energy is going to be from shore charging. So there is no solar, there is no other source of energy apart from charging at source. The same way you're going to charge your electric car. So when you're driving your electric car, when you come home, you plug in and it gets charged. Or on the way, you stop at a petrol pump which has a charger, you plug in and you charge. So that's exactly how a pure electric solar boat is going to, pure electric boat is going to work. Then we have something what we call an energy autonomous solar electric boat. So what is this energy autonomous solar electric boat? Energy boat is that all the energy required for the running the vessel comes from the solar. And a typical example is the 4 boats you see here. The first boat, Surya, we did in 2007 for Coconut Lagoon. It was never charged from the grid. All the power it needed to do its operations was 100% generated from solar. The second boat we did, the Sunrider, that too was never charged. It nearly operated for 5 years continuously without any charging from the grid. It was entirely charged from the solar panel on top. The inflatable you see down here has a very interesting story. It was actually built to go down the Ganges right from the top, and it traveled nearly 300 kilometers. No charging, 100% from solar, no grid charging at all. It was also used in the 2018 floods. It was the first boat to be given for flood rescue, and we used an electric motor. Then we have a boat which we did for CIFT with Samudra, that again is 100% powered from solar. So this is what we call a energy autonomous solar powered boat. That means you don't need any energy from outside sources. The second architecture we talk about is a solar electric hybrid boat. Here, again, let's go to the example. Yeah. So we have CIL Webenard, which again we did with Samudra. It is a 25-seater boat. So as you see, there's a limited space on top. So we could not put more than 6 kilowatt of solar panels on top. Therefore, the energy demand is partly met by solar, and the rest is met by charging from the grid. So when the boat is berthed at the jetty, there's a charging happening from the grid, and that's how you charge the boat. So we have a 80 kilowatt hour battery bank, which is capable of taking the boat, or the boat can cruise to approximately 6 to 8 hours. The next is a solar electric diesel hybrid boat. So see, it all depends on what is the endurance required, or what is the operational requirement of a given boat. So for example, if you need a boat which needs to go out to the sea for a couple of hours or a couple of days, then we can design, or the architecture is such that you have solar, you have battery bank, which of course stores energy, you have shore charging, so whenever the boat is berthed, you have charging from the grid, and during long voyages, you can rely on diesel to provide the excess power required. In spite of that, your savings will be in terms of 60 to 70% in this architecture. You also have what we call electric diesel hybrid boat. See, what happens if for fast boats, like you have fast fishing boats or you have a sports boat, that too can go electric. And just by going electric, your savings is between 50 to 60% in terms of fuel consumption alone. That is because of the operational efficiency or the conversion efficiency of the electric motor, or in terms of the actual energy put in and what is the energy you get at the shaft. So what I also want to take you through is, so when we can talk about technology, we can say it is rocket science, we can say it is the best available in the world, but end of the day, if it is not affordable, it doesn't make financial sense, nobody's going to buy it, no matter how environment friendly it is going to be. So that's what I want to take you through. So assume this is a system architecture. We have solar modules. We also have charging from the shore, because there is not enough space for putting more modules to ensure energy autonomy. So this is a calculation, an investment calculation for a 20 HP motor. So typically a 20 HP outboard motor, 4-stroke, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeevan, Joy, is 2.5 lakhs. Okay? The investment required for an electric propulsion unit is 9.5 lakhs or 9.6 lakhs. So the actual additional investment you need to make is around 7 lakh 10,000. So, but now let's go to the column on the other side. At the typical consumption of a 20 HP IC engine is 5 liters per hour. I hope I'm right. Okay. And assuming an operation of 4 hours a day, you're looking at daily operational cost of 2,200 rupees. Now take that into 250 days of operation per year. You're looking at an operating cost of 5.5 lakh rupees a year. While your additional investment is only 7 lakhs to make it electric. That means in less than 1 year or less than 2 years, your additional investment which you made has come back to you. And typically the battery life, and this is a question which I get asked always, the battery, which is the most expensive part of the system, has a minimum life of 7 years. So in 7 years, you save 28 lakhs. So I think it is better than investing in any stock exchange you can think of. So there you have more. So you need to spend another 2.5 lakhs. Okay. So I need to correct this now. Okay. So it's better, even better. All right. Yeah. So this is I think, yeah. Now let's talk about the good part. So now we made you richer. So now let's see how good you are in terms of the environment. So typically, your saving in CO2, if you're partly charging from the grid, is going to be 7.8 tons of CO2. It's not bad. It's a contribution you're making to the environment. And in the event that you can do, next slide. Yeah. In the event you can do 100%, if the show charger is solar powered, in which case you will have 11.5 tons of CO2 equivalent savings. So let me also say that when you say CO2, that doesn't mean actual carbon dioxide. It is the different greenhouse gases which are accumulated to and represented by CO2. Okay? So there's a lot of harmful gases you're saving. Now, there's one more thing. There's an additional benefit which I'm not talking here, is that, as you all know, for an outboard engine or even for an inboard engine, the exhaust is below the water line. It goes first into the water. That means you're actually polluting the water before you're polluting the air. So there's double pollution happening here. If it is a car, it goes into the air. But in a boat, it first goes into the water and then into the air. That means you're making your water acidic also at the same time, and pushing in a lot of other chemicals into the, based again on what type and quality of fuel you're going to use, into the water. So that's how harmful it is. And I'm sure most of you who have been to Alleppey 20 years back or 25 years back and have gone today have realized the quality of water, the change in the quality of water. And you know why it is. So that is what saving, there's a rush to save the ecosystem today. Because if you don't save the ecosystem, then the whole industry is not going to be there tomorrow. So I'm also taking an example of a 60 HP inboard engine, which is going to be diesel powered. Yeah. So I'm assuming a cost of 6 lakhs for a diesel engine. Jeevan, you have something to say? Okay. The initial investment for a 60 HP replacement with an electric kit is going to be 35 lakhs. So if I take 6 lakhs away, my additional investment is 29 lakhs. Now let's go to the other column. A typical consumption pattern for a diesel engine of 60 HP is going to be 12 liters per hour average. 6 hours of operation, we're looking at 72 liters per day. So we are looking at, I'm sorry, it's written petrol, it's diesel actually. You're looking at a daily savings of 6,000 rupees, 6,900 rupees. That means your payback period for the additional investment you're making is in less than 3 years. And over a 7-year period, you're looking at a return investment or savings of 85 lakhs 96,000. That's a huge amount of money. Just for a very small, sorry? only from fuel saving. I know you have more things to say. The O&M itself is another 10-20%, right? Yeah. Right. And again, coming back to the good part, you have 2.9 tons of CO2 which you save if you're going for a hybrid version. Right. And if suppose you have a solar or wind charging station, you're looking at 27 tons of CO2 per year, which is not a small amount. And as I said again, it's double impact. I'm talking only about the emission into the environment. The amount of amount of pollution you're going to avoid from into the water itself, it's huge. So let me just come back to our eMarine benefits now. Our eMarine solution is, you can call it the 6th generation. It is, in terms of efficiency, in terms of the technology used in the solution, all our installations, including the small ones which we have, even the 1 HP and 2 HP long tail, we have remote monitoring and remote analytics available. That is, the telematics is available, which so we can actually tell you what is going wrong, if anything is going wrong at all. So we have predictive analytics built into the system as an AI, part of AI. So it's that advanced, right from the small unit all the way up to the largest units. All of them across the board have telematics built into it. The reason we have that is because, and also just for your information, Jeevan, it comes with a SIM card built in. So if somebody is not paying the money, you can switch it off. So that helps for your financing also. The reason we build this is because many of the time everybody agrees with the whole thing, but then you don't have especially when you're targeting the common local fishermen, it is not possible for them to raise this additional money which is needed. So they have to go approach a local funding agency. It could be a cooperative, it could be whatever. So it is to give them the comfort that we have built this feature into it. That is, in case that unit is under loan, financing, the financing institution has a comfort that he can ensure it can be switched off when it is at shore, of course, not when it is on the waters. Of course, no doubt. But we can try our part. Anyway, yeah. So this is for a higher version. This I'm talking about. When I say now, I just talked about 1 or 2 HP. This is a 250 kilowatt unit. So a 250 kilowatt pre-engineered. What is there in the box? This is what is in the box. You have the battery, you have the control electronics, and you have the motor. It's pre-engineered, pre-configured, and ready to deploy. This is what you see is an indoor unit, inboard unit, and this can be deployed within 7 days, even less, if it is planned properly. And as you see that, you have all the control systems including the power distribution unit. We have option of both liquid cooled as well as air cooled battery packs. We recommend selling only liquid cooled battery packs in this part of the region because two reasons. One is you have high humidity, you have high salinity, and you have high elevated temperatures. That means your corrosion levels are very high, because of which we have decided that the units which we sell, especially in this region, is going to be liquid cooled units. This is the telematics which we have. As I said, we can position where the boat is and all the requirements. So how do we do this? I mean, we are a company based out of Kochi, and of course we are operating in many parts of the world. We have offices now in the US, in Vietnam, in Guam, of all the places. How do we do this? We are able to do this because we have the best OEM partners working with us. And when I say best OEM partners, these partners are very old, reliable, and credible. So we have Hypercraft, which is in the US. We have Enerca, which is a US company based in Bangalore. We have Elco, 1893. They are the oldest electric motor and electric yacht manufacturing company in the world. They are OEMs. Cittel is again manufacturing motors for us. Polarium is based out of Sweden, and they manufacture battery banks for us. So those They are basically NMC and LFP based battery banks. And of course, we have NMC here, which is basically they are from Italy and they manufacture alternators, DC alternators, which go into our diesel hybrid systems. So that is the reason we are able to do what we are able to do now, because we are tied up with the world's best in terms of OEM partners. And of course, our R&D partners, we have both of them here. We have CDAC as well as CIFT. We have MOUs with both of them, where we are trying, in case of CDAC, we are working with them to implement retrofitment of houseboats. With CIFT, we are working on cold chain as well as working on hybrid solutions, propulsion solutions for fishing boats. And the best part now is that earlier when we signed the MOU, we were thinking of small crafts, but today we have the capacity to go to any size. And Paul Rajan is here. I'm sure I'll be able to get an opportunity to convert one of your vessels, Paul. Okay, so yeah. And we are proud to say of our boat manufacturers, shipyard partners, Samudra and Mother Marine. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you, and we look forward to many adventures together. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope I have conveyed what I wanted to convey, but I would like to take any questions from you. Please. Please, sir.
How did you make a study about the maneuvering control of the boats? Is
Sir,
it better for this type of propulsion, or is it better for diesel?
I will ask Jeevan to answer that question.
The controlling. So the boat is going forward.
Controlling, maneuvering the boat.
You want to stop it suddenly, you want to reverse.
Sir, it is better.
So for a gear engine with the gearbox, that is better or this is better?
So this is better, but I'll tell Jeevan will answer.
Oh, George, you should have said instant torque.
I forgot that. I forgot that.
You only taught me that. So because of that, maneuverability is much better on an electric boat.
Sir, one of the major issues, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, is that, though it was there in the video, is that one of the reasons you have a higher capacity engine in a houseboat, why you have that, is not primarily because of the cruising requirement, but it's mainly for the braking requirement. Because when you want to brake, you want to give the maximum, you need the maximum torque to come to you, right? So in an electric, you have the maximum torque right from 1 RPM. It's more or less a flat curve. Because of which, and that is the reason your diesel locomotive, your trains, they're actually driven electric. The diesel is for giving the power to the electric motors. That is because of the torque, the instant torque you get from an electric motor. It's more or less even. So when I'm going to put an electric motor instead of an IC engine, the maneuverability is very high, and the stopping distance is going to go low. It will be more like 1/4 or even less.
Fishing operations, they have to control the boat, the wind will be there, the wave will be there. So for them,
so for all that, this is better because, as I again said, the response is much faster than IC engine. The response time is much faster. I would say. Joy. Joy. The reason is both of them have been testing our concept, our technology, so they should be able to say better. That's the reason I asked Jeevan and Joy too. Yeah.
Why electric is more easier. Even smaller HP engines, no need of gearbox also. Straight, we are reversing the engine, basically the electric motor. So one repair or maintenance cost is reducing also. Whereas the IC engines, in between reversing and forwarding through a gearbox. So maintenance of the gearbox also is a critical one for the IC engines, whereas electric, no need of. So easy, in operator also can change the reverse and forward through a switch, no even cable or nothing. That's the main advantage what I feel in the, just now I driven the boat, electric boat, just now, even I feel that easiness, the,
Yes.
Yeah.
He's only
True,
he's the only
true.
carbon neutral person here.
yeah, through speedboat only, I just came down. Self-driven also, no issue. Thank you. Thank you.
Jaco sir.
The sad part of the discussion is,
Yes, sir, please.
Mr. George is confirming this is the technology. There is no research institute or supporting us to confirm it.
So that's what we have two institutions now.
No. I'm talking of, no, the boat is creating vibration, for example.
Right.
Now there is a JSS Pendaphite test which has to go through all these things. There is another test, you have to go EMCMI or whatever it is. There is no facility for that. So you are helplessly designing things single-handedly and trying it.
Yes.
But there is no research institute which can support you. Like Kongsberg in Norway, is a one wall. Just they jump the fence, they are into the university.
Right.
Where universities are sitting apart because they don't know whether you are doing right thing or bad thing. I don't know what. But till then that George, Chaco and Joy will struggle. And struggle. Nothing will happen. Yeah. So this scenario has to change. We have to get the institutes behind us. Look at IRS. What are they doing? I hope somebody from IRS. No, they are not doing anything basic. Look at DNV.
We are
You go to
teaching them,
Norway,
sir.
1,200 acres island is owned by DNV and do the research and guidance. The fishermen are also helpless. Somebody was telling, all the bridges have been built at 4.5 meter height. What can you do with the boats? I am made 5.4 by my parents. So correct. So this situation has to change. The whole people should. Yeah, I think it is international. Anything more than that, you lose your intelligence. So basically, I feel there is this discussion should take to us further. The research institutes and government engineers who build bridges, port is locked up with all bridges. So what can you do with these fishing vessels, which has got 4.5 meter more than that? So we should do something seriously in these forums to discuss and bring the government into it, or the engineers into it, or the public into it. Fish we eat, but we think the moment fish you touch, it sticks. So that attitude should change. Fisherman is a low-grade quality people, even today. Owners never drive the boats. When that scenario is there, it will be very difficult to change the fishery industry. In Norway or any other country, the owner is driving the boats. So we should do R&D people should come in for certification. If you want to sell it anywhere in the world, you can say so many things, but at the end of the day, we need certification. At what cost? An EMI test costs 7 lakhs. A JSF Pendaphite costs 7 lakhs.
So presently today, our battery is there being tested in ICAT for all the tests today. Today it's being, not today, tomorrow it's getting tested for
At what cost?
propagation. Yeah, of course.
That one
It's a huge cost.
There is a quality improvement test and a final test. There is no quality improvement test. So what we do, we make, which will never fail, but it is not economical.
Right.
So this forum should work further up with CAFR, who can be the R&D agencies, and they should be the spokesman for this research.
I think that's the intent now.
Just starting, sir. Just give us some time to evaluate and then give.
See, there is no time. I am already 77. How many more years?
Okay,
I will be
sir.
there?
Let me add to what Chaku sir had said. So he was making a comparison between what is happening in our country and
Yeah.
in Norway. So that is a part of evolution, sir. See, fishermen slowly, the owners are getting on board. So this is already happening in northern part of Kerala, where half the crew is the owner himself. So it has become sustainable. I mean, in terms of economics, it has become sustainable. So the owner is on board now. So that is happening, already happening. So future is not bleak, it is good.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's a hope. Yes, anybody else?
2-3 small questions.
Yes, sir, please.
For a 20 HP retrofit, what is the motor rating? Is it an AC motor?
Sir, no, 20 HP motor rating is, if I'm correct, Sharath, the motor rating is 8 kilowatt? 8 kilowatt.
AC motor or DC motor?
It's an AC, PM AC.
Okay. What about the battery pack? Battery pack?
It depends again on the endurance. Normally we give, I think, we only give 10 kilowatt hour.
10 kilowatt hour. Is it solar powered?
No, it can be solar powered. It depends on the boat. See, the reason I said we had different architects is because based on the boat, based on the operation cycle, it changes. The architecture changes. But we are ready with all the architecture. Our MCU, as we call it, has a capability of just plugging in solar if solar is available. It all depends on whether there's sufficient space to put solar. For example, the boat we did for CIL, we didn't have enough space, so it has to be in hybrid. It has to be a solar and electric hybrid.
But that means when on a 8 kilowatt motor and a 10 kilowatt hour battery,
Yeah.
in between you have to, so many charging you may have to do every day. No?
So we design the battery bank based on the endurance requirement. So if it is 6 hours continuous, then we design based on that.
Bigger battery.
Yes. All right. So I think we have. Yeah, please go ahead, Chandra. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for reminding us it's indeed the need of the hour to reduce our carbon footprint and also for giving us the solution, Meridien, the Blue Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly honored to have with us today one of the pioneers of the tourism industry of Kerala, a man who revolutionized the industry and also implemented green practices. He is also a mentor to our CEO, and like George sir rightly called, he can be referred to as the man who brought tourism to our state. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. George Dominic, co-founder of CGH Earth. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Requesting you to please speak a few words.
I'm a little out of the water here, marine water. I come from a different field. Nevertheless, when George Matthew asked me to come here and speak, I gladly accepted. And the subject being the implication of sustainability, or what you say that marine sustainability or e-marine in the field of tourism. George Matthew has put, I think, shown in pictures some of the ventures that we had. Probably he has given us sparks of ideas which we try to implement. It's a big subject, and tourism, sustainability, responsible tourism, and its linkages with all the other subjects that have been discussed today. I don't know in what, I mean, this, I appreciate the discussion that was just preceded by coming here about the electric torque, maneuverability, and whatnot. I'll just talk about not a technical subject, but go on to what I would say vulnerability. When I say vulnerability, I would talk about the situation where industry, the tourism industry is in Kerala. And when I say as an industry, there are three actors whose interests we have to secure. One is the water, the land, the coconut trees, which what we call the environment. Then, of course, the people, for whom, what are they doing it for? It may be to earn a livelihood, an activity, and the economy, and all that, and that world. And then, of course, when you talk about industry, it is the enterprise. So profit becomes a criteria, and therefore the word affordability. In tourism, Kerala's growth has been, I would think, quite spectacular. I recall, I mean, I came into this, into Kerala and into tourism in the year 1978. At that time, if I recall numbers of statistics, Kerala received 25,000 foreign tourists in 1978. Dependence and just to talk about the relationship with that industry, Kerala's story of left and left of left governments considered tourism as a luxury, capitalist, bourgeoisie, something that is not with more of an embarrassment. The world has changed dramatically since then. At that time, as far as tourism was concerned, Kerala could have been bracketed as a Bimaru state. From there, over the next, from let's say the beginning of 90s till now, over the next 20 or 30 years, we moved from Bimaru perhaps to the front performing state as far as tourism is concerned. Its dependence of the state on tourism. See, just after we've talked about vulnerability and the need for resilience and how tourism has been affected by many. The last being the COVID. Historically, the biggest calamity that the industry has faced and still facing. Before that, we had the floods. And before that, in a political sense, I would say that the first calamity, I'm just repeating here something I spoke at another occasion, that was a need for that the first calamity Kerala faced was the excise policy as a result of that in the previous government, we had a policy which brought Kerala to near prohibition, and as a result of that, the big beneficiaries were two states, were two destinations. One was Rajasthan, and the other was Sri Lanka. So I was just repeating this to a politician. He said that I just returned from Rajasthan from a conference where the lead speaker was talking about how at that time Rajasthan was having a boom time as far as tourism is concerned. Those are times in which foreign travel to Egypt had to go down. Kashmir had a problem. And then he said, now, since our friends from Kerala have shot a self-goal, we get those customers also here. But these cycles go on. In the last calamity, Kerala's dependence on tourism has shown our vulnerability as an economy, as a society, and as the environment, the vulnerability of that. So therefore the subject of how to become more resilient. So here is where I would say from bringing resilience is where e-marine will have to now be talked about. How the additional maneuverability because of torque, because of managing movement. Now the backwaters is perhaps, let me talk about a little bit of personal history about houseboats, which is where the relationship between solar and the houseboat and tourism sector. In 1991, a gentleman by the name of Babu Varghese, he converted one houseboat, one kettu vallam. At that time the word houseboat was not used, an old kettu vallam, which had all been berthed at that time. He converted one kettu vallam put a deck to it, put a OBM or outboard motor to it, and started using it. And then he called me and said, this was near Kollam, he did that. At that time, today we are called CGH Earth from tourism, but at that time we were casino group of hotels. So we said, can you come and have a look at our Kettuvallam? So I went across there, we took a ride in that. So Babu had his first Kettuvallam built at that, in that year, 1991 I think it was. So my reaction to that is that, Babu, if you're building your, and he wanted an anchor customer. That was the reason why we were there. I said, the next one, we will be your customer. So in 1992, or maybe 1991 end, there were two houseboats in Kerala. One belonged to Babu, the next was to Casino Group. Today, I don't know how many, they are still trying to make out a survey to find out how many houseboats there are. Some people say, in fact, various numbers are said, but it's somewhere between 2,000 to 5,000. It is there. It seems to be, there needs to be a census to find out how many houseboats are there. But the implication of that is that it has become a highlight of the destination, the houseboat and the backwaters. That brings us to the issues that the backwaters faces. Again, a personal account. It was in 1991 that we decided to convert, build the hotel called Coconut Lagoon in Kumaragam. There was nothing, there was no other, tourism in the backwaters was unknown at that time. And so we used to do at that, now I don't know why we don't do that. At that time we used to go by boat from Cochin all the way to Kumaragam, and on the way, en route, somewhere in the backwaters, we would drop anchor, and we would jump into the backwaters, swim, and then come back, make it an enjoyable journey. Today, if water splashes on you from the backwaters, you have to go and take a bath. That is the big change that is taking place. Why? That's a big question, as much as sustainability is concerned. Why? One reason is that all the sewage, whether from a panchayat, from municipality or from the city, all flows. Kochi, the mega city, does not have a sewage system. We conveniently, well, those of you, I mean, I used to stay in Panapalli Nagar, a premier location here, and the houses have all got septic tanks. From the septic tank, the overflow will go into the drain, from the drain to the canal, and from the canal to the backwaters. And that's the story everywhere. So, along with sewage, so Kerala's sewage system is the backwaters. There's no getting away from that. Whether the city or even the panchayat. The houseboat, what is the system it has? Now when you talk about sustainability, it's about what is the power that drives the boat, what are the other implications in its wake. I suppose you cannot have one here and one and not have it there. And there was, when the houseboat was first introduced, we had not a consultant, he was from Broad, UK. They were brought as special guests, I think with intervention. It was Mr. Philip Matthew of Malayalam Manorama who could get him here. And his advice to us at that time, at a meeting which took place in Coconut Lagoon, where our chief, he had taken a very special, the then Chief Minister of Kerala, K. Karunakaran, was there. The KTDC had formed a train of houseboats, linking houseboats together, pulled by another motorboat, and thought that was the KTDC intervention in backwaters. It realized, of course, it failed because as it moved into the backwaters, when the wind came, it all got out of control. But the potential of the houseboat was realized, and still the big issue that faces the houseboat economics, and I'm coming to affordability and economics, is that whether it was the small outboard boat, it became very highly profitable for for people who invested initially, little did they realize that very, very soon the depreciation of the motor, the cost of running the boat, if you were depreciated sufficiently for the life of the boat, they were not economic at all. The cost of replacement of the boat is more than you earned. And that was a big learning, and I think that learning, the fishermen also will say that, who have moved from the canoe, from paddle to OBM, they all say that the fishermen of Kerala work for Toyota or for Suzuki. So that's what they earn to buy the next engine. In the houseboat, it was similar. The cost of replacing the houseboat was invariably more than the cost, the investment, initial investment. That was the situation. But anyway, that was a story tourism has learned. But what I'm now coming to is that use of technology, use of sustainable technology is now become the need of the hour. There's no doubt about it. Not only to protect and preserve the environment, not only to make it more affordable, but also to create a product which is world class. And Kerala's success in tourism is a consequence of the Kerala's tourism was not built by big global brands. It was not built by foreign direct investments. We have a society called Responsible Tourism Society of India, and we have workshops all over the country. We had it in Imphal, we had it in Rajasthan, we had one in Goa. I'm just recall the Goa incident, the Goa conference, participated by a large number of young Goan activist small operators, some of them tour operators or running small hotels or homestays. Very, very activist mentality they had. And some statistics was revealed from Goa at that time. Goa's population is 14 lakhs. Goa's tourism footfall is 64 lakhs per annum. So this youngster came forward and said that we in Goa laid out the red carpet for foreign direct investment. And they came, they built the big hotels, and we got jobs as in the hotels as cooks, waiters and gardeners. But look at those guys. Some people from Kerala were there. They said, look at those guys. Those people put up not the red carpet, but the red flag. As a result, FDI was afraid to come. But still tourism came. How? As a result of small entrepreneurs doing what they could, which is small, in a manner which they knew which is local. So indigenous and local became the flavor of Kerala. We do not have the 500-room hotels or the 300-room hotels. We have those little homestays and small resorts. Now after 20, 30 years, we are now looking at ourselves. We say we are thankful for the jobs that we got. But in some ways, he said that the 64 lakh footfalls which come to Goa, we Goans are left here to clean up the garbage they leave behind. The profit is taken by somebody else. And that's in a metaphorical way he put it, but that's what he meant to say was that. But look at the guys, the people from Kerala, they prevent, and they are the ones who now own it, manage it, and they are the owners of those enterprises. And though they are not the five-star $1 million hotels, but they employ and they have a sense of ownership. I'm only trying to talk about another aspect of the Kerala model one, if you may call it so. So, without departing from this subject that we have today, is marine technology sustainable to create a unique product which is Kerala, which has got the flavor of Kerala, which has benefits the community. What after all is, what is definition of responsible tourism is, it's a great place to live in. And first make it a great place to live in, and a great place to live in is a great place to visit. In other words, not to do anything for the tourist. In a charter to say, a priority for linked with this is make the backwaters swimmable again. If you can do that, look at the transformation that can take place. The backwaters of maybe even our ocean fronts are not used as places of adventure or places of leisure. In fact, most of the time, you have prevention happening. If you go out into the sea, suddenly everybody says, no, it's too dangerous. Our own culture will say it's too dangerous. And so there's a need, I think, to get ourselves more accustomed into the backwaters, to learn, make them swimmable again. Coming to talk about swimming knowledge. Some years, not few years ago, the ferry from Waipin to Fort Cochin met with an accident. A fishing boat crashed against a passenger ferry, and it sank very quickly. 20 meters from the shore it was. It was located very close to one of our hotel there, which is called Brunton Boatyard. And Brunton's boatman was from Lakshadweep. He is familiar with the waters and used to the waters. He immediately dived in, and he was there, first swimmer to reach the sinking people. On the shoreline, 20 meters, not 20, 25 meters away, were thousands of people shouting, help, help, help them, all help them. But nobody had the skill to jump into the backwaters. And there's a link to that, also to this, to what we're talking about. So and in fact, as a result, just to complete that story, as a result of that, a decision was taken that make survival swimming knowledgeable to youngsters, especially in our coastal areas. And a site was taken by the corporation. Then I think the Chief Minister also came in and gave a sanction. He laid the foundation stone to make a swimming pool so that all the children of all the schools around can learn survival swimming, not Olympic swimming, but survival swimming. And this was laid, but after that, when FIFA came in to Cochin, they decided that this site which they earmarked the pool should be made into a FIFA football training ground, so that pool was also lost. But that's another story. But I'm only trying to make these unconnected linkages to the subject that we have. In 1978, it was 1988 that we went to Lakshadweep. And as a result of then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's visit to Lakshadweep. And the decision, he stayed in an island called Bangaram. And as a result of that visit, they decided to privatize the government-run hotel, which was there in the resort of Bangaram. And invitations were sent out by the Ministry of Tourism to send expressions of interest for those who would, by invitation, who would like to take over and operate and manage and reconstruct that hotel. At that time, in 1988, we had, Casino Group had one hotel, which is Casino, which probably because we were located on Willingdon Island, near the port, we also received an invitation. But otherwise, the invitation would have been received by the big of the country, and also many famous international brands. When I looked at the list of people who are competing for that project, I thought to myself, what is the point? We'll have no chance whatsoever. But the hook was, it also said, those who send expressions of interest will be flown there by helicopter and flown back. That was enough. So I sent expression of interest. We were flown in groups and went to Bangaram, spent a night there, then taken to Kabarati capital. Mr. Wajahad Habibullah was the administrator of the island at that time. So, and in the group which was sitting, 10, 12 people, he asked, gentlemen, now that you've seen the island, tell us what you plan to do. So, naturally, the big boys have to answer first. So they said that we plan to names like Waikiki and Honolulu were first dropped. Then numbers like 50 and 60 crores is dropped. So all of that, to my mind, a crore was a sum of money I could not imagine investing. And so they said, we will tell you what we can do. Give us a few months. We have to first do a detailed techno-economic feasibility study, and we can tell you that. Give us 3 months for that. So the discussion went around in that manner. So when it came to my turn, I said, I don't need 3 months, I can tell you now. Give me 3 months not to tell you what to do, 3 months to restore that island back to use. So Habibullah was surprised. He said, tell me what you would do. I said, I don't know. I will learn from the islanders here. They have been living here for ages. They know what to do. They've got the coconut thatch. In fact, when the Prime Minister came, 2 suites were specially made. They removed the coconut thatch and made some very fancy plastic materials on the top, put it air conditioned, put television in it, made it what you would call swank. So I said, all I would do, I would remove all that. Do what the islander would do. For that, I can rely on their knowledge and their technology, their materials. So I presume I can, I was not because of any better knowledge. I wanted to do a project which would cost not crores but lakhs. And that, the skill was with the local islander. So those are lessons we can learn in terms of affordability, sustainability, and make it unique. Make a product unique. The backwaters, tourism products, and when you make a unique product which is not less than world class, using the best technology available for sustainability. That's a route that one can take, and I think what is done for fishing, what is done for sports, and what is done for ferrying, and what is done for tourism, all utilize the same approach, technology, and methods. So infrastructure that is created to build those products, equipment, the environment where they run on, they all need to be in some way, they have a close resonate with is it beneficial, is it sustainable, and is it world class? So that's I'm just been musing along to say these words, and I think I must congratulate George Matthew and his and Team Sustain, or Yesen Sustain, which I realize now. In fact, when I spoke to George Matthew, I associated with him, the first product we had was the solar boat in Coconut Lagoon. The next time I associated with the first making Spice Village completely solar powered. The first hotel in India to be solar powered completely at that time. And now, of course, it is all battery powered. Now you do other things. So the third project which we had worked together was somehow it's a more socially, from Cochin Chamber had a project to convert the plastics into electricity. Project that was started, but it got stuck in midway, and somewhere during the conversation here, I hope George Matthew will talk about it. I think now I can see that I've got my time is up, so I'll go back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights and observations with all of us. It was truly an honor for all of us to listen to you. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we'll be breaking for lunch. Lunch has been arranged for all of us in the dining area outside the hall. We'll be having sessions even after lunch, so requesting all of you to kindly be back in this hall by 1:45 p.m. for the next session. So in the meantime, we'll be having a press meet in this hall, requesting all of you to kindly step out and proceed for lunch. Thank you.
അപ്പുറത്തേക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ അപ്പുറത്ത് പോകാമോ?
അയക്കട്ടെ? അവിടെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തോ? കൈ
ആ തിരിക്കുന്നു 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 തിരിക്കുന്നു. തിരിച്ചു വരുന്നു 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 വരുന്നു. അങ്ങോട്ട് പോവാം, ഞാൻ വരട്ടെ, അങ്ങോട്ട് വരട്ടെ. ആ ഏട്ടനോട് അതിൽ പോകാം. അതെ, സാറിനെ ചേർത്ത് നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ എടുക്കാമല്ലോ. നമുക്ക് വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും എടുക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ആ, നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ എടുക്കാം. അല്ല, ഇതിപ്പോ നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ ഇല്ലേ, ഇനിയിപ്പോ നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ ചെയ്യണം. അല്ല, ഇനിയും പുറത്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലേ? അവർ കാണിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലേ? ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. അല്ല, അത് നമുക്ക് നമ്മളുടെ തന്നെയാണ്. അല്ല, നമുക്ക് മറ്റെന്തായാലും ഗസ്റ്റിന് കാണിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ വന്നാലേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അപ്പൊ ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. ഫുഡ് കഴിക്കാം.